have to go far in the Quad Cities to find beer made locally. Craft breweries offer a growing number of choices to satisfy the pickiest taste buds.
But the trend is just getting started, so pull up a stool and take a seat at the bar as Langlois shows us the past, present, and future of the Quad Cities breweries.
The local beer business is booming.
It's a little counterculture, so and the younger folks always like a little bit of that. It's almost rebellious a little bit.
Local brew pubs are serving up homemade recipes across the QCA, and your options are growing.
It's now the thing to do. It's gone full circle.
On both sides of the river, local brews are flowing at record levels. Front Street Brewery and Bent River were some of the first to tap in. Owner Steve Zeidema started Front Street back in 1992, and they were the first.
We are the oldest operating brew pub in the state of Iowa.
Not long after, a local beer boom began. Across the Mississippi, Bent River brewed their first barrels in 1998, and over the last 10 years, they've thrived.
We've never had a single-digit growth year since then. It just exploded for us.
This brewing renaissance has thrived here in the Quad Cities for the past 2 decades, but to get the full story on Quad City breweries, you have to look way back to the Civil War era.
This is kind of how beer business was done back in the 1880s.
Mike Wenthe worked in the beverage business for more than 40 years. At the same time, he slowly but surely turned his home into a museum of QC brewing history. And if he describes it,
obsessive, I guess, would be the word.
From the dining room,
pioneers of brewing in the Quad Cities,
to the basement.
This is the war room, kind of.
The walls tell the stories of breweries come and gone. Finding success in the late 1800s was tough.
The smaller breweries, in order to stay alive and be competitive, instead of cutting each other's throats, decided to merge.
Rock Island Brewing Company on the Illinois side, the Davenport Malting Company across the river. But then Prohibition hit. Even after it was lifted in the early 30s, Quad City breweries would never recover.
Ultimately, they succumbed to the same fate as all small breweries at the time and went out of business in 1939.
By the early 50s, there were no breweries left in the Quad Cities. It would stay that way until Front Street in the 90s, and now the Quad Cities can't make enough.
This is what you call the meat of the brew house.
And when it comes to that competition, the more the merrier.
Competition can and should be a good thing. And I love the excitement that's being brought to the industry by all the new places.
The more breweries that pop up around here, the busier we get. It has a synergy to it.
As for the future, there's still room at the bar.
I think we'll see another 4 breweries open up in the Quad Cities in the next 2 years.
And when it comes to the cardinal rule for any newcomer, well, just ask the expert.
The advice is always make good beer. That's at the end of the day, just make good beer.
Chris Langlois, Local 4 News at 10.
Make sure to join more of this conversation tomorrow on Local 4 News This Morning. Quad Cities brewing historian and collector Mike Wenthe will be in the studio. Send your questions to him to the WHBF TV Facebook page.
I'm thirsty now.
I don't blame you.
He didn't bring back samples.
That we know of.
That's true.